This is Lauren.
This is Trey.
And this
is the Partnership Podcast. You turned your phone off?
I turned my phone
For
off.
the podcast?
For the podcast.
For the gentle
For this
audience,
thing we
huh?
do every single solitary week that you would think that I would... How long have we been doing this?
I
Years?
still sniff into the microphone
And
every now and then.
stretch.
Yeah, and stretch. I'm not allowed to stretch anymore. If you're just joining us, I can't stretch anymore.
You can. You're just going to put us out of focus. Or we can invest in fancy
Which is a
cameras. And
metaphor. Which is a metaphor for larger things.
It is.
I'm ruining this relationship.
No, you're not. But let's talk about... Goodness gracious. We've had, a week.
Yeah.
And I would say the theme, correct me if I'm wrong, is stretching, becoming inside of long-term partnership, evolving, wanting, desiring. And how do we do that inside a chosen partnership? Not something we're stuck in, not something we're forced to be doing. With simultaneously honoring ourselves, but also honoring the other, because again, this is a chosen partnership. And goddamn if it's not hard. And intimate and vulnerable and risky. And interestingly enough, I think what you and I have been seeing too is the ways in which safety-seeking behaviors show up, especially in me, in order to stay chosen, stay inside of relationship, whether it is your want or the other's want that has been put forward, and how that adaptive pattern doesn't always serve the actual relationship that you're in. It might have helped at one point, keep you safe. Yeah, what do you want to share? What do you want to talk about? Because
I'm sick.
he's sick. He's got a mad cold.
I have sinus pressure. I'm sick.
In all honesty, he has what I had a couple weeks ago, and it is so disconcerting. It's a cold, and
It was sexually transmitted.
2 weeks apart.
Hey,
That's I mean, so many STIs show up that way. That
par
is
for the course,
exactly
babe.
right. Anyway, we haven't kissed in days.
Hooker Julia
rules.
Roberts rules.
But again, honestly, what feels right, good, true to share in this format? We told the audience about how last week I asked for a date to share how things are expanding. I think we shared a little bit about, the conversations that ensued also involved you stating that you didn't want to be made small either, or your wants made small either. And somehow in my body, I interpreted Trey's sharing of something as, that's great. If you want that, I must have this. Almost like this, yeah, great, you get to want whatever you want. And great, new deal is you get that, I get this. And apparently I discovered last night that was not what actually happened. Or that wasn't the intent behind what you were saying. But all day yesterday, my body was just trying to feel around in, the feelings that were coming up for me. And it was so interesting because we have so many tools now about when we feel these types of things to take them to the other. And so I knew I needed to talk with you about this, but I also was getting curious of the things that were showing up in my body. And anyway, things that were showing up in my body were a whole lot of tears and fear and uncertainty. And so last night I got home from spending time with a friend. I was doing all my things. I was trying to complete stress response cycles by going and exercising. I was trying to love on my body, take baths. I was trying to be in nature. I gardened. I was trying to connect with a friend. I connected with a friend. None of it was fucking working. And so, yeah, I'm curious. Could you tell I was crying in bed?
Mm-hmm.
And what was going through
Well,
your
the bed
body?
was shaking. So the bed was shaking. You were on your side because she got home from the bars, or
I was at his house. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah. So I don't think you said hi, and then you didn't touch me, and then the bed started to shake, and that's when I woke up. So to Lauren crying. Okay, so last week it was Lauren came to me and she goes like, "Hey, I want to like write a book. I want to like chase these big dreams. I'm afraid I'm going to fail you." And it coincided with I think I sent some like slutty text messages to her, and she told me later that in her body she's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. I can't even do that right now." Like the thought of like being bent over a counter. I was sending some very whorish text messages. We're taking the word back. And she shared with me, it's like, it was too much. And that coincided with her cycle. And that coincided with like an 8-hour day the next day. And it coincided with all these things, which is completely okay. I used to work in football. I used to work in football 6 days a week. I didn't watch the NFL on Sundays because I was so, what's our word, satiated or
Saturated.
saturated. I was so saturated with it. So Lauren shared these things with me of feelings of failing me and being saturated with like, I may not be able to give you intimacy. And then I said, like, what would it look like if we opened up our relationship? What would that look like? Like, what would it look like if we opened up? And we chatted about it because in my mind, I was like, okay, that's a solution. And we chatted about it. And then you had your busy work days, and then you went on a sister weekend, and you came back, and we had another conversation about it yesterday. And I shared my fear of like, I don't want to make myself small. Like, I don't want to take what I can get when it comes to like love and affection. And I don't want to be scared because it was a scary thing to like bring up. And brutal honesty. You said at first, it's like, how about I just release you? That's what you said, meaning that we break up and divorce. And I go, that doesn't sound good to me. What about something else? So I propose this, and yeah, my fear is I have a fear of bringing things up because that's a hard conversation, and also a fear of upsetting you, which it did quite a bit. And God bless you, honey. You tried to work through it until you finally said, that sounds fucking awful. And we had a conversation last night where it's like, thank you. This is how it works. If it's like a no in your body, it's a no in mine. And then if it's a hell yes, then it's like, okay, we have more conversations. So correct me if I'm wrong. I think it got interpreted as you get to go chase your things and I get to go date other people. So it's like a quid pro quo or tit for tat, or I get this if you get this. And you're like, wait a minute, I don't want that. And I misinterpreted where it's like, hey, I'm satiated on like sex as like I tried to solve the problem. Where it's like, okay, how about we take some of this off your plate? Where, yeah, and how do we end up coming to like getting through the tears? Lots of tears. Getting through the tears, and how do we end up like joking around and falling asleep and then waking up like holding each other this morning and having sex? Mm-hmm. Yeah, how did we get from there to there?
Messily, which I always want this podcast to be an honest place to talk about, right? That You can have all the tools in the world, and the nervous system doesn't care sometimes. And Trey was asking incredible questions, as he does. And I think this is a very interesting position to be sitting in right here, okay? Because I could give y'all the professional answers, and I could give you the personal experience. And yeah, maybe benefits to kind of do a mix of both, because this is what was causing such a huge emotional response in my body, is that we as human beings sometimes feel an or an right? This, as Trey is saying, a hell yes, a hell no, or a maybe, or a yes with limits, or sometimes we have a good feeling in our body. Sometimes those feelings are based upon old beliefs. Sometimes they're just based in the body. Sometimes they don't make logical sense. And so everyone who listens to this podcast knows that I work with folks in open relationships. I help people open the relationships. I help people deal with the lived experiences of living in polycules and in thruples and in multi-dimensional experiences inside of partnership. Folks know that I don't believe in compulsive monogamy. I do not believe that there is this one set way to do things. I don't. Folks are pretty aware that we have a very creatively monogamous relationship. And that it's not wild at all for Trey to bring up something like this. It's also not wild at all that I had said, even before you said that, like, should we totally lean into polyamory? Because this idea of me failing you, I think, is rooted in, again, compulsive monogamy. I don't actually think I'm failing you. I think that I am fully enough and only enough. And yet I want to be your partner. That is a big want in my body. But what I was sitting there at the bar counter feeling was like a total failure of you in the future. Not now, but you in the future. So I had even opened the door before you had. Okay, so theoretically, philosophically, therapeutically, relationally, I believe in non-monogamy with my whole heart and soul. And I also trust people's nervous systems. And call me crazy, but I think that we can have well-attuned, healthy, attached relationships and hot sex, satisfying sex. Sometimes that looks like consensual, ethical, non-monogamy. And sometimes that looks like creative monogamy. Sometimes that looks like monogamy.
Can you define creative monogamy?
Dr. Joli Hamilton, who reached out to ask if they could do, if she and her husband Ken, who have a podcast called Playing with Fire, could do a pod swap with us, where if we would go onto their podcast and then they could come onto our podcast. And I said, people have been asking for guests, and who better to have on this podcast than the person we quote ad nauseum? So that might be coming your way. But Dr. Joli Hamilton says that creative monogamy is utilizing the third, utilizing fantasy to play in the non-monogamous realm. And or incorporating things like flirting with strangers in public, incorporating things like bringing that energy of the erotic third home into your partnerships, not shying away from desirability of the other partner in the world, acknowledging that Trey is a really hot man who has a heart and a mind, and when he goes out into the world, people want him. Not ignoring that, not saying he's mine, he's my property. So kind of eschewing old ideas of what marriage looks like, and instead saying, no, we can play in all these realms. And yet we acknowledge that interacting with actual human beings is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. As it should be, because they're human beings, right? It's not as easy. In creative monogamy, the fantasies go poof. It's Trey's favorite thing to say, right? Is that we can incorporate all these amazing ideas. If you're watching, you saw Trey try to stretch and then catch himself. And yet keep it within the confines. Now, when we first met each other, we have always talked about consensual, ethical non-monogamy. We have talked about it all the time. We always talk about it. We don't talk about it always on here, but we talk about it. Because we don't believe that any one person should feel that they have to be the other's everything. That doesn't align with either of us.
It's fucking exhausting.
We're not here for it. Mm-hmm. We're not interested in it. We deeply believe that you and I both need community. You and I both need passions and purposes and missions and service work to our community and friends to laugh with, friends to play with, friends to joke with. And that might at some point involve other bodies as well. And there should be nothing wrong with that.
Why was it such a no in your body?
That I still don't know, to be brutally honest. One of the things that has been coming up now that my nervous system feels a little bit more regulated is that one of my favorite things in the world to do with you is play sexually. Mm-hmm. And the felt sense, and again, this is my felt sense, this isn't what you said, is that in my quest to pursue my passion, my favorite thing was getting taken away, which I know is not truth. I know. I also felt in the thing that you proposed, which we don't need to go into graphic description, I felt left out. I felt really left out. I didn't feel like this was a shared adventure together. And please hear me, I don't think I own your choices and your beings. So again, very confusing to me. Again, because I aligned philosophically. Yeah, it is. I mean, I feel it. Yeah, in my body. And part of my tears and my distress was anger itself. Because why can't I, quote unquote, be more evolved? Why can't I get over myself?
What would you say to a client who said the exact same thing?
Oh my God.
I have what I would say. What would you say as the professional?
I would say that doesn't matter at all. I would say a nervous system is a nervous system, and attachment needs are attachment needs. And we don't get to tell someone how to love us. We get to decide whether or not we want to participate in the ways that they love. So I think what was breaking my heart, though, was that I knew I would tell a me, it is okay if you can say, I can't provide that. But I knew also that I would tell the me, but if your husband really wants that, you might need to reconsider if this is, allow him to reconsider if this is a partnership he wants to choose to be in, because it's not wrong for him to share that want. It's good to want. It's really good to want. And I'm not interested in you sacrificing for me. So I knew exactly what I would say to a me. And then to a you. I would say, Trey, beautiful wanting, good job sharing something so risky and so vulnerable. Good job in not suppressing that and ignoring that and pretending like you don't have needs. Good job. I would affirm you. And I would say it was beautiful. And I would say that we have such a sex negative, pleasure negative culture that would like to deem that as some toxic thing. Oh, you're so oh my God, can you just chill? No, I would be literally casting, envision me with a sword, fighting off the sex negative monsters. And so it was really hard. What would you say?
Your intuition's saying no. And it's at your core it's saying no, and your intuition's gotten you to where you are now, and knowing, pardon me, and knowing you have such a strong intuition. So once I heard that, then I was like, great, no. What I could have done such a better job of is saying, hey, we're in the discussion phase. If level 5 is like my cock inside someone else, we're at 0.7 on the level of like discussing, planning, executing. So yeah, I was, needless to say, I was confused at the big emotions, and it's intimidating. Like the really, really lots of tears, the big emotions. I went to just curiosity and question asking versus like defensiveness versus like trying to explain it to you that, hey, this was just a discussion, but like I own that. I can do a much better job of like, we're in the literal brainstorming phase of what does this look like. And, but I asked you last night where I kind of alluded to that, and you're like, this is where it's coming out. And this is like, I tried to do all this curiosity. I tried to do all this work. I tried to kind of let it move through me, which is great. So we went through the process, and then it was just big ass tears going like, we should separate if I'm hearing we should separate if, you know, you can't get what you want at 12:30 at night. Holy shit. So marriage ain't easy, folks, for fuck's sake. I should be a sex therapist where I just tell men to masturbate and live alone. I'm going to charge them $800 an hour.
Well, I mean, you and I say this so much on here, but it would be easier, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but it's not more enjoyable.
No.
Like, I love my fucking life. I absolutely love my life. And I had to ask for clarification last night where it's like, babe, you've brought up divorce now twice. Is that what you want? And you look at me and you go, no. And I go, okay, great. Great. Let's continue to have this conversation.
Yeah, and are you clear on why I said that? And also, I take accountability.
Yes,
and I did
yes.
this last night, but I want to do this again.
Because you don't want to hold me back.
Yes.
Which is the sweetest thing ever. And you know what? The whole genesis of this was we don't want to hold each other back. I have fears of holding so-and-so back. Or I have fears of failing the partner. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. It was a hard talk. I'm glad we had it. What else?
How did you go to curiosity?
Questions.
As your bride was sitting there.
Questions.
Sobbing my eyes out.
Brutal honesty. Certain things. It's like, don't fucking say that.
Great.
Certain
like
things that
you
pop
were like
into my
feeling
mind.
them go in and through.
Like,
because
oh.
I could feel you actively working to hold space.
Mm-hmm. It's like, don't say that.
Okay.
Ask a question.
Good job.
And then keep your fucking mouth shut.
Good job. Yeah, so it did take like intentionality. Yeah.
That was an exercise. Yeah.
You asked for listening at one point.
I did.
That was awesome.
Yeah, to give you clarification of, hey, in my mind, this is just a discussion and this is actually a solution where it takes more off your plate versus the exact opposite. So my intention was to like, hey, this is an option that could like, you can focus on your work and I could go have, I don't know, sexy fun with so-and-so, and what does this look like? So that was my listening. Yeah, and I'm sorry I made you feel left out in the process. Where I was like, and I'm sorry that it's like tit for tat. Where I get this, it was like, it's like, oh no, we can't negotiate when it comes to that.
Yeah.
We can maybe negotiate where we go to dinner, but we can't negotiate something like that. Like the thought of this is where people get fucked. You need to be okay with this. Meaning you need to go into toleration. You need to kind of bypass certain things. You need to make yourself smaller. We can't ask each other that because you're not allowed to ask me that. You're allowed to so beautifully say, hey, I'm afraid if I go chase writing a book that I'm going to drop balls left and right, and I'm going to be gone on the weekends, and I'm not going to have time for you. That, honey, you saying that takes care of me. When you said that, I literally felt so warm and fuzzy and taken care of. And then me saying what I said fucking devastated you.
Yep.
Which I was afraid of fucking devastating you. So yeah, well, like a box of cigarettes, carton of cigarettes,
Carton.
a pack of cigarettes, like a pack of cigarettes. We need to start putting warnings on things, or disclaimers on things. It's like, hey, discussion phase or idea phase. And then I was like, with no, and then in fucking parentheses, Surgeon General with zero obligation of executing.
We joke in human design that there's a timing gate, and I have the timing gate. Trey does not have the timing gate. And it is funny sometimes.
Immediately, I'm like, oh, tell me more. And then I'm going to set 4 different ways I have it. I have a fucking timing gate.
Do not. Holland
Says the woman who's late
has this timing
constantly.
gate too. It doesn't mean like that kind of timing. It just means...
Tell me more about what I'm deficient in. Tell me more. Go ahead. We're fighting again.
It's just that I'm like sharing all these fears of the ways in which I am going to like not be enough for you and the dreams that I have.
Oh, and I'm talking about other women's pussies.
Yeah.
I get it.
And in my journaling, I was like, an exercise I
pussies.
give to beautiful pussies, and I was just like, what the actual fuck? In a journaling exercise that Jungians instruct to do, but I give many of my clients to do, is an ugly journaling exercise where you just write out all the nasty shit that you would never say in person. And I did this yesterday. I journaled all the things I would never ever say to you.
I don't want to hear them.
No.
I don't want to hear them.
But one of them was, what the actual fucking hell? Like, I was trying to share exactly what I was afraid of. And you're like, here, let me share this thing. And I was like, now there's more work. All it felt like is like, oh, you're afraid of
Comes out when it comes
not
out.
being exactly.
You came in at 12:30 at night crying.
No,
last night.
that was my follow up. Is that I think, yes, there's timing gates, and so, but in this relationship, we have made a commitment to. It's just okay. That sometimes things are gonna be the wrong fucking time, but better out than in.
Can we talk about your timing gate on my 40th birthday where you withheld information for 3 days?
I have such beautiful timing. You're just gonna hold this against me.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
now
I'm
just
gonna
be like, oh, is that the timing gate? That
This
got
is
you
all.
here
This
so
is all I'm gonna do
late?
for the rest of the day. Just write
It's
down.
gonna make him feel so much better.
Your shitty timing, and then I'm gonna be right. Then I'm gonna bring her all these things, and she's gonna say, "You know what, Trey? You're right. Let me blow you. Nothing gets a woman's pussy wetter than telling her when she's wrong."
Yes, we have a commitment here that sometimes things are shared in not a great timing. For instance, me coming in last night. I mean, I literally was laying there crying my eyes out thinking, we know it's not good to have these conversations at 10:30 at night.
It's 12:30.
By the time we had the conversation.
Just give me this one, babe. Just give me this one. We went to bed. I checked. We went to bed at 1:00 in the morning.
I know,
Just
but
give
when
me
I
this
came
one.
in, wasn't it like 10:30? I don't know. Anyway, I went to the bathroom to blow my nose at some point because I've been crying so hard, and I just sat there on the floor and was like, I'm never going to be able to go to bed if we don't talk about this. And you and I were saying this morning on a drive, you know, I could have, I guess, pushed it all in and gone to sleep. And then we would have woken up in the exact same position that we had gone to sleep. I would have just buried it and pushed it aside. I would have persevered through my day today. I am so familiar with doing that. I probably would have gotten up even earlier. I wouldn't have spoken to you in the morning. I would have journaled, suppressed, bypassed everything that I was thinking. And
it was interesting. You asked me, it's like, how do people do this? And I go, babe, you've had what?
A decade of it.
Decade of it? Had a decade of experience of bypassing.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no better way to say it except that the vibrations were off with us. Okay. Like we were literally in different planes, and I can't handle it. Yeah, and props to you, babe, for saying like, do you want to talk?
Yeah. And then, like, interestingly enough, like when you left the house, because you're upset when you left the house, and then I just text and I try to reassure. It's like, like, love you the most, like, all the patience. Like, so I felt connected to you.
Yeah.
So when you said the vibration's off, I'm like, oh, okay. Where I didn't feel that towards you. I didn't have any animosity or...
There was no animosity in my body.
defensiveness.
I think I was just devastated.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing. Just a small emotion.
Okay. All right.
Devastated with myself, honey.
All right. Got it. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was wondering what you were devastated at. Like, yeah. Okay. At yourself for feeling such strong no's.
Yes.
Where do you get to the point, baby, where it's like, there's no devastation for a genuine no in your body? Like,
I think
so
I'm there
authentic.
in so many things. Mm-hmm. I think that the catch-22 of being in this field is that I know the benefits of all things. And I know it's what you said. And I would tell anybody this. It's just okay if your intuition says no. And actually, there's a bunch of fucking wisdom in it. Because maybe it is that, I don't know, maybe it's for some other completely reason. Like, it doesn't matter. My intuition says, And it's interesting as a generator, speaking of human design again, that I am supposed to listen to the or Like, it is literally how I'm designed. And it's not supposed to make mental sense. It's exactly how I've gotten here. It is exactly how I've built everything. But honestly, honey, also to say no to someone you love is not fun.
It's not fun, but it's necessary.
Tell me more.
Sometimes you got to say no. Usually it's over like financial reasons or, yeah, you got to say no, or I'm not comfortable with that. Mm-hmm. There's been plenty of stuff I said no to. I can't really think of it. And when I go into my mind, you generally get anything and everything that you want, but that's not. So yeah, it's important. Yeah, you got to stand in your agency. It's hard. This shit ain't easy. Would it be easier to be alone and like go date people casually? Sure, but like, God bless, life would fucking suck compared to what we got now. It's fun. We have a really good time.
He's winking at me for the listening audience.
She couldn't wink for the first like 2 years of our... That's a good wink. So, but she couldn't where she'd just blink both of her eyes together like a child. It's the funniest fucking thing. So sometimes we'll just squeeze our eyes closed at each other, and that's a
the
Lauren
baby does
wink.
it too. Yeah, it like pretends to wink like me. It's bizarre. Yeah, I couldn't. I don't. There's no wink practice.
That's a good. You're getting good
better.
at it. Have you been practicing in the mirror?
No.
Tell me the truth. Have you been practicing in the mirror?
No, I don't think so. Through YouTube, I practice like still talking and winking. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's what I couldn't do. It's like a sexy wink. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what kind of pushed us in. Talk about the amount of tools that we used in that hard conversation. So you observed yourself and tried not to go to defensiveness and chose curiosity instead. Yeah. Thank you. I chose really purposely I tried not to, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, use any blamey statements. I chose to really, truly just share what was going on in my nervous system, in my body. I was really trying to be aware of any source wounds, any things that this was triggering. I didn't feel trauma responsive. Like, I know I was crying a lot. There were a lot of tears. It's also the full moon. I'm also menstruating. So this is just a wild combo. Wild combo.
My gay brother's out there.
Trey's going to join your team.
Yeah, I'm joining you soon. I've been thinking about dicks in my mind.
If only that had been your proposal at the bar instead.
What, just a hard cock for you?
No, for you.
Oh, for me. I'm trying so hard, fellas.
Then everyone would be laughing
Open your gates.
if I had made
Open
yet
your
another
gay
one go
gates.
gay.
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
interesting.
That's a funny joke,
That is
too.
a
Her
funny
first
joke.
husband he's happily gay now, but he just fought penises in his mind for years and years and years and years. So
My first crush and my first kiss also gay.
yeah, you have terrible gaydar, honey.
I know. So
Yeah, you
what
just
if?
crush and kiss and marry gay men, and then
Then you swoop in.
I look at him, I go, yeah, that guy's gay.
It's not good. And then I've thought men are gay that weren't gay as well.
You're terrible. You're terrible. You have
Yeah.
terrible gaydar. It's objectively bad.
I would like to say that I am objectively a proponent of sexual orientation fluidity, and that I don't like labels. That's what I'd like to say. Is that I love it all.
She owns a label maker.
Dude, that's funny. So we utilized curiosity. We utilized not blaming. I tried to stay far, far away from any negativity towards wanting, negativity towards sex, negativity towards or internalized misogyny towards other people. I tried to make a lot of feeling statements. I tried to do a lot of explaining that this was nothing that someone had done wrong. You had not done anything wrong. This was just a lived experience inside of my body. And yeah, your listening turn we utilized. Repeating back what we think the other had said. We got a lot of clarity when we figured out that it wasn't a tit for tat type of thing.
Yeah, I owned that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry I made you feel that it was like, I get this if you get this, like some type of negotiation. Whoa, my bad. That was totally my bad on that. Yeah, again, state and curiosity. And what was the other one? Fuck. Oh, the discussion phase. Where it's like,
Yeah.
we don't have to put this into action. In my mind, we're literally talking about what it looks like versus like, hey, I'll see you next weekend. Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because I think my body, my mind.
Oh, and I'm sorry for leaving you out of the process, making you feel left out of the process. In my mind, it was like, oh, I don't want to burden her with this process so she can focus on her work. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you're like, I like being a part of the process. And in my mind, I was like, didn't you just tell me like you wanted to focus on this? And so it was a fucking misunderstanding. Way to not like, way to not go and blame, calling the other person a motherfucker.
And that's what ugly journaling's for.
Mm-hmm.
I
She wants to tell me bad. Like her eyes keep flaring up when she says ugly journaling. She got that. You see that look on your face? She wants to tell me you're ugly journaling. You keep it to yourself, lady.
No, I would never tell you that. But I do think it's a good practice because that's in there. We are not these saints. No, believe me. And then I have clients read it back sometimes and we're like, oh, the ego, right? It's a good practice because just to get it out.
Did you say like my pussy's gold in there or something like that? Nothing like that.
Should have.
My tits and ass.
How dare he desire anyone else?
Go find another ass like this that's almost 40.
No, I didn't say any of that. It's good to have no constraints, to get to be as self-righteous on the page as you want to get to be as narcissistic as you want to get to go into, it's your irreverent writing and be like egocentric. It's a healthy practice and I'm not mad at it. And it felt good, but then it felt really good to hear from my actual blood and flesh and human husband who wasn't actually thinking any of those things. I really thought it was if you get this, I get this. I mean, I really believed in my body that is what you were saying. And then the conversation that we had Tuesday morning. Yeah. I felt like there was even a plan in place for it. And I was like, oh my God. Okay. I have been completely left out of this whole like planning process. And I mean, and I just don't know if I want to do that. And that's okay. But I am such a big picture person. Like, and it's one of my greatest skills. But you kept saying like, can we not go doomsday? And I was thinking in my mind, no, I'm not doomsdaying. I'm just really practical. And that needs to look like the dissolvement of our relationship because my body says,
That's practically doomsday.
It's logical.
Logically doomsday. My timing was good on that one. Well, good
Not
for
just
us.
any doomsdayer. I'm a practical and
Let's
logical
choose.
doomsdayer.
Let's make a choice. Let's make a pact right now that we'll never argue again.
This wasn't an argument. Do you think this is an
We'll
argument?
never have a misunderstanding or a disagreement again.
Ever again.
Mm-hmm.
This poor podcast audience is probably like, bring back the sexy concepts, conversation topics. That's
Cunt.
what
Okay.
bring back the sexy conversation topics. I get it, y'all. I also think, and everybody knows this if they've been listening, that I am in an expansion phase. Something is coming.
Mm-hmm.
A colleague just texted me today and was like, I get these premonitions and they're always right.
That's right, because you mentioned its expansion phase, and it's like, I'm not going to be left behind. I want to expand too. That was a motivator for that too, where it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Because I want to keep up with my beautiful wife. And my expansion is like, it's a lot. I had to ask her that. I was like, honey, are you okay that I don't have these like big, lofty, like be famous dreams? And like, and she goes, yeah, I don't care. And I had to check in with myself where it's like, okay, do you want another, like, because you're a star and people are going to recognize that in a couple of years. And it's like, okay, do you want like a star partner? Do you want this like power couple type thing? Like, do you want a man that can do a reality TV show again with you and like a cooking show and like go on a book tour and is like, is going to be there to support you? Because I don't want to do that shit.
You
I don't
wouldn't come on any book tour stuff?
No, I didn't say that. I didn't want, see, God damn it. God damn it, woman.
They're going to want you on the book tour.
Oh, no, I don't. I'll come on maybe one or something like that, but no, I don't want to. No. Be in a hotel room watching shitty fucking cable TV at a Ramada Inn or something? No, I don't. I like my house. I like my golf course. I like my friends. And plus, like, somebody's got to raise our kid. And you're out there gallivanting. So, yeah, good luck trying to get dick in any of those cities. That's cut off. All right? You'll get, no, don't wink at me, woman. That's a good wink, babe. So, yeah, I had to check in with insecurities when it came to that. And you just reassured me. And also, babe, if you want that, you're entitled to getting it. Like, if that's what you truly want, like a man like that, go get him. And if I want to fuck a bunch of women, like, go get it, right? Then we'd need to. But no, I choose partnership with you. Yesterday, today, tomorrow. Choose partnership with you. And I will go to curiosity and fight for that.
Yeah, I think there's some juicy more follow-up that we can continue to push into of what does it look like to choose partnership and not get everything we want? What does it look like to say it's good to want
and not get everything we want? Because that's scary for me where it's like, oh, do I have to make myself small?
Well, that's
That was a big thing, yeah.
Right? But what does that look like when there's wanting, but somebody's intuition says, that's curious. And again, we don't get to tell another person how to love us. We just get to decide whether or not we want to participate in the ways that they love. And that's hard.
Anything else before we close this one, babe?
No, I think I'm glad we had this conversation. I think that it's really good for people to know that we can align with something philosophically and cheer for it and support it and coach on it and have read every book and have done studies and all this types of stuff.
Still fuck up.
And still fuck up. Mm-hmm. And still be like, yes, that's great for all, or like for those, but not for me. And yes, this part, and no to this part, that there is so much gray nuance inside of every choice. And, you know, any teacher on any form of existence that is outside of monogamy would say that it is also not you just jump into one lifestyle and you do that forever. That there are periods of saturation where the vessel might need to change, and that is normal and good. And the minute we start to try to over-identify with one thing, we're going to get into trouble. We just are. But thank you for hearing my intuition. I mean, to be truthfully, brutally honest, I'm scared to put this out to everybody.
Really?
Because I still feel like a disappointment.
It's real, honey. This is some real shit. It's up to you. We have the power of the edit button. We could always talk about cooking recipes and, like, I don't know, anal.
It's all people want.
Yeah, they just want their anal talk. And I get it, too. Butts are fun.
He's telling me to close out this episode
Forcing
of the
her.
Partnership Podcast.
Forcing her to close out.
I have no choice. On the willing and wanting scale.
She runs this fucking shit. She runs this house.
Thank you for coming to yet another episode of the Partnership Podcast with Lauren and Trey, where we remind you that you have a right to informed decision-making and self-determination, which is the thing I've been trying to remind myself of the past few days. Take what you like, leave the rest. If you want to have conversations about the philosophical elements of non-monogamy, reach out. Go to sexedforyou.com/free consult. Yeah. And if you're like, oh, what I'm really looking for is a really human sexuality educator and relationship coach, I might be your person because I'm far, far, far from perfect. Thank you for coming to this episode. We will talk to you all again soon. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.